Hey guys, just before the video starts, a quick reminder that due to the changes to the YouTube partnership program, your subscriptions are going to be even more important than before. So if you appreciate or like the content, please subscribe to the channel. The faster we hit the 1,000 subscribers, the faster I'll be able to deliver continuous content to you guys. So now, let's move on to the video. Hey guys, and welcome back to Maple Syrup Tech. I'm Rick, and today we're going to be looking at the top 3 graphics cards or GPUs that you can get for under $100 in 2018. It's a no surprise to everyone. Right now, crypto mining has made most of the pretty decent graphics cards out there overpriced by almost twice the regular price. So what I often suggest to a lot of my friends or people that ask that want to build a computer today but don't want to feel hosed on the price of the graphics card is to invest in either a used entry-level GPU or a new entry-level GPU and then sell it back once the prices regularize, and at that point you can buy something like a 1060, a 1070, or whatever is out at that moment. So today the guide that we're going to look at the top 3 cards that I like to target for under $100. By the way, there will be other guides for, between 100 and 200 and between 200 and 300. But today we're going to really look at under $100, the top 3 GPUs that I like to target and the prices that you should target them at. Because the other surprise is that the used market, sometimes you have some people posting some pretty crazy prices out there. And the good news in the current day is that the 1050 2GB and the RX 560 2GB are still priced at pretty close to the normal MSRP, meaning that for a used GPU to be worth it, it really has to compete with those 2 cards, and they're actually offering pretty decent for entry-level gaming. So, without further ado, let's get to the first card. We're going to start off our list with the lowest value card, which in my opinion for playing today's games should be the Nvidia GTX 750 Ti. The good thing about this card, and the reason I like to target it, is it was a very popular card in its day because before the current GPUs, price for performance, this was one of the best things you could pick up for entry-level gaming. Nowadays, however, in the games that have come out in the last year, you have to be ready to play between low to medium settings, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone who wants to play seriously or competitively in games like PUBG or Fortnite, because your frame rates will be somewhat low and you might not be able to put the view distance to the maximum and have a decent frame rate, depending on the rest of your system. Now, this card, you're going to see some pretty crazy prices out there. Some people sometimes on the ads, they put it up to almost $150 I've seen, which is completely out of whack for this card, because at $150 you're just better picking up a 1050 Ti and you're going to be getting at least 30 to 40% better performance on average. Now this card, you should be targeting it somewhere around 50 bucks, and that's 50 bucks US. So here in Canada, maybe up to 60 to 65. But we're encroaching on the other cards on our list once we get up to those prices, which means that if you can get it for that price, this card is an excellent pickup in 2018, and it can get you started on some computer gaming and won't break the bank. It's important to note, though, that when you try to negotiate, a good tactic that I find for getting GPUs at lower prices is to sometimes look on the outskirts of the large cities. Because if you go for large, downtown large cities, there's so many people looking for used graphics cards or used parts that generally they'll be able to sell them at a premium. However, if you go a little bit on the outskirts, you'll be able to pick them up for a lot lower because a lot of people aren't willing to travel for such budget parts. But if you're willing to put a few extra kilometers on your car, hey, it's a great pickup, and around 50 bucks, you will not be disappointed in this card. Now on to the second card in our list. The second card is once again an Nvidia product. By the way, it's not that I'm against AMD, it's just that right now all the decent AMD cards are being snapped up by miners and are being sold at ridiculous prices, which is why the 3 cards on our list are going to be Nvidia. But before we go on that subject, let's get to it. So it's the GTX 660 Ti. So this card is a fair step above the 750 Ti. It's not in a whole other world, but at least this card will give you somewhat stronger performance in games like PUBG and Fortnite. So if you're looking for an extreme value option and you want to play those games, I would seriously recommend going for the 660 Ti rather than the Civ 750 Ti that we looked at earlier. And the price that I would look at to target this card is around $65 US, meaning that in Canada, a big maximum of about 80 bucks. And the reason why is because even though this card has a lot better performance on average, the 2 GB VRAM is still gonna, help, unfortunately, not compete extremely well in today's games in all cases. Like, you will have some stutters in some sections, and you will still have to limit yourself to fairly low details. So somewhere around the medium details on average. And if you're playing a more extravagant game like Witcher 3 or PUBG once again, because unfortunately optimizations in that game are not the best currently, I would recommend sticking to the low settings for those type of games. Now, the 660 Ti was also a very popular card in its time, so generally you will be able to find a lot on the used market, which is why you shouldn't be worried too much if someone's trying to sell it for a higher price. Just wait a couple of days and another one will come along at a decent price. Now, the last card in our list is the most expensive, but is also my favorite to target at under $100. Now, this card is the GTX 680. It comes in 2 variants. It actually comes in a 2 GB and 4 GB variants. And you have to be ready to pay a premium on the 4 GB if you do, and you might actually be forced to go above your budget if you restrict yourself to only looking for the 4 GB variant, just because, unfortunately, in today's market, 4 GB is very competitive with some other cards out there, so people do ask a premium for that one. However, the advantage to going for the 680, and the reason I recommend it, is that it'll play pretty much any of today's games, and especially the 4 GB variant, you'll even be able to go on high settings for most of them. Now, this card is actually perfect for playing things like PUBG and Fortnite, and you probably won't be as restricted in your settings as the other 2 cards before them. And currently, if you're looking for really a GPU that can tide you over long term in case the drought lasts for quite a while, the 680 is probably your best shot. So the price you should be targeting, if you're looking at the 2 GB variant, I normally try to pay around $80 for that one. And if you look at the 4 GB one, well, I try to pay around $100 for it. In Canada, that means that we'll actually bust probably our $100 budget if we restrict ourselves to the 4 GB one. But for the 2 GB one, you can generally pull out here in Canada around $100 on the GPU. Now, this rounds off our list, and unfortunately under $100, there really is only, in my opinion, a top 3 of average GPUs. There's a lot of other GPUs that can do the job, but you normally don't see them on a very consistent basis because they weren't very popular in their time, or people are regularly asking for more than $100 for them. And like I said, we'll be coming back anyway with a list for the GPUs that fall between 100 and 200, and that list is probably going to be quite a bit longer just because there's a lot more choices at that point, and they compete a lot better with the 1050 and RX 560 today. Now, I hope that this list has really helped you guys. If you're stuck in the situation where you're trying to build a new PC or you're building your first PC and you're stuck without a GPU because of the current prices and you're not willing to pay double the market value or double the MSRP, because the market value is actually where it is right now because of miners. Now, if you did like this list and you want to come back for more, please do subscribe to the channel, because as I said at the beginning, subscriptions right now are extremely important for me, because for me to be able to keep monetizing the channel, I have to hit the 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible, and it'll allow me to come out with more consistent and even more content for you guys. So, thank you very much for watching, and as usual, I'll catch you guys in my next video.